is Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by A#1 Air, the official HVAC and electric partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. Buffalo Wild Wings. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton and Kevin Gray.
Welcome to the 2023 NFL season. It is Cowboys-Giants, week number 1. Kevin Gray of 105 through the Fan live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Joined, as always, by my main man, Nate Newton, 6-time Pro Bowler.
Yes, sir.
3-time Super Bowl champion.
Sir.
Member of the Black College Football Hall of Fame. Welcome to the 2023 season, live on KRLD 1080 on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, all over Cowboys platforms, wherever you can find them. Nate, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man.
I'm excited. I'm loving it. I've been waiting on these preseason games. I've been waiting on. I can't get past it. It's 4 preseason games.
He's so excited. He can't wait.
It's 4 preseason games that they just count. And I'll explain later why I call them preseason games. The scrimmage is just finished. Thank you, Kevin, for introducing me.
I appreciate you with me for another season of Cowboys football. Of course, Cowboys-Giants, Sunday Night Football on NBC. This week, joined from DallasCowboys.com, proud Missouri Tiger, much like myself, longtime Dallas Cowboys beat writer. He is the pride of Columbia, Missouri with the Missouri Tigers. Mickey Spagnola joining me this week. Mickey, what's going on? Good to see you.
M-I-Z to you.
Z-O-U, as always.
Good to be
with
you.
Hey, y'all relax, man. It's family right here, man. It's family right here with me and Mickey.
We got connections.
That's right. Appreciate Mickey for hanging out.
ACC, baby. ACC.
That's right. Joining us this week here, Dallas Cowboys legend, former center with the Dallas Cowboys, of course, now teacher these days.
Yes,
sir.
My man Joe Looney joining us here on Cowboys Crosstalk this week. Joe, what's going on, man? Good to see you.
Man, not much, man. Doing great. So excited that football is back. I mean, just being able to watch the college football games this week. Now we get the pros coming up this week. I mean, let's go. Let's get this thing smacking.
It was one hell of a weekend in college football, highlighted, of course, by Deion doing his thing with the Colorado Buffaloes.
Prime time.
TC. We won't talk about that too much. It is time to talk about the Cowboys, but it is time to kick off the 2023 NFL season. I'm going to start with the players here because obviously you go through a long offseason, OTAs, mini camp. You go through a grueling training camp. You get through your 3 preseason games, and now you have the opportunity to go hit somebody for real on Sunday Night Football. What is going through Joe Looney's mind as he's getting ready for opening night, opening week of the NFL season, and what that means for all of these guys now having the opportunity to show everything that they've been working toward this offseason?
Yes, well, I think what's going through my mind is it's time to go have some fun.
Yeah.
It's time to go have some fun. You know, OTAs, mini camp, training camp. Yeah, you got the preseason games in there where you get to hit other people, but you've been going against your teammates for so long. It's like, man, I'm ready to hit somebody else. Take this, pain and hurt that we had to go through training camp, man, and do all this hard stuff and just ready to go out there and, play with your brothers, play for the man next to you. And it's, hey, it's you buckle up that chin strap for the first time. You tie your shoes a little tighter for that first game, and I mean,
well, you get me.
Listen, I tell you what.
They got a guard that's hurt.
That's right.
Just in
yes,
case.
Sir.
Hey, I tell you what.
Wow.
That excitement still flows through me. But just like Nate. I mean, as you go through the off season, OTAs, the intensities, it's here. But as you get to training camp, here it is. By the time you get to past the preseason games to the season, boy, that intensity is all the way up because what we about to do.
Yeah,
that's right.
What we about to try
from
and
0 to 100, right quick.
Yeah, you got to. You got to be all in, ready to go get that trophy, man.
And, Nate, that this team over the last 2 seasons, 24 wins with Mike McCarthy, 12 wins each of the last 2 years, one of the more anticipated seasons coming into this year. They add Brandon Cooks on offense. They add Stephon Gilmore on defense. They've got better this offseason, and now they have a chance to prove that when they take on the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Talk to me about a team with expectations and what that does for the confidence, what that does for the morale, and how you approach a season knowing what kind of expectations are on a team like this.
For the first time in many a year, this Cowboy team can have some real expectations. Not somebody 8-8 last year, 10-5 this year. No, we have been consistent winners. This team knows how to win. They have been in tight games, even in the playoffs. Last year, you saw growth even with the San Francisco loss, how our defense played. So these guys are ready to go to the next level. Before, the confidence they've shown, I'm like, yeah, is that real? Now they know.
Yeah.
Now we have solidified leaders on offense and defense and special teams. Our coaches know who they are and who the players are. We have injury. Just think, last year we had Tyron Smith with the injury. We went crazy. Oh, my God. But we've had our young guy, Smith is out. Tyler Smith is out. But no one is panicking. We've been here before. We've done this, and Coach McCarthy got these guys right on a level playing field.
Yeah, no Mickey, tell me, as you observe this team, what is the number one storyline for you going into this season, knowing what's in front of this team, given the expectations we've talked about a little bit, and what that could mean for this Cowboys team?
Time to take the next step.
Yeah.
I think that, as they talked about, back-to-back 12-win seasons, but somewhat unfulfilling because of what happened in the playoffs. So I think this year they've got a target. Now, the key thing is they don't grandfather you back into the playoffs.
That's right. You got to go earn it.
Just because you were there last year.
Right.
You got to start from scratch. You got to win the first game, and you got to win the second game.
Right.
So you can't be looking ahead going, okay, we got to get in the playoffs and win a playoff game, right? Got to start from scratch. Although when talking to Dan Quinn about how hard is that to get the players to buy into, okay, we're starting from scratch. And he goes, we're not starting from scratch. We're starting from, how did he put it, like ground zero, like when you're getting ready to climb a mountain.
Right.
You're not all the way at the bottom. You're at this spot here. Now you got to go and scale the rest of the way.
Wow.
And he goes, that's the way we teach it and keep a perspective and not making the picture look like it's just gigantic.
Yes.
And that's where the fun is wrapped up in it, too. I mean, you want to talk about, the physicality of the NFL is what it is. People are going to hit you hard. You're going to get hit, and you're going to get hit hard. But the challenge is each week in and week out, showing up with that mentality of, I got to do it again. I got to do it again. Not enjoying that success too much. I mean, you guys hear people saying it. It's like, okay, we're going to enjoy this one tonight, and then, and we're watching film tomorrow so we can learn from this one. And that's what it is. It's that monotony. How can you master that mundane?
And to add on to that, what I was so proud, and I use this word real small, I was so proud to see Trayvon Diggs, Terrence Steele, guys like that who got contracts during, and got their contract, but they still practice, brother. Normally when you see a guy get that type of money like Diggs, this dude had an injury in training camp and continued to practice. Stephon Gilmore, veteran, practice. Tyron Smith, believe it or not, didn't miss a day. That is when you know you're growing.
Yeah.
When you see veteran guys not taking advantage of veteran days and continue to push through.
The Cowboys' motto this season, Mickey, is to seize everything. That process, that journey begins on Sunday Night Football in MetLife Stadium against a team that they are very familiar with in terms of opening up an NFL season. What are you looking at as we start to preview some of this game going into Sunday night? What, for you, are you starting to key in on when it comes to this matchup, when it comes to the Giants and the Cowboys?
I think the first thing you've got to point out is the Giants, let's not forget, they went 9-7 last year.
Yes.
Good football team.
Playoff team.
Playoff team.
Yeah.
Won a playoff game. So
No
they're not
question about
starting against Eastern Kentucky, right?
Wow.
That helps.
You don't just ease in.
Right.
I could have said FAMU now.
But we won last week.
You won, right?
See, there you
So
go.
I could do
I
that,
won
right?
twice. You left the swag so we can win. Thank you.
Wow.
I love
Wow.
the yes, sir.
Looking out for you.
Down in Miami,
Yeah.
baby.
Looking out
Down
for
in
you. That's what
Miami,
he's doing.
too.
Looking out for you.
So yeah, this is a formidable opponent. But as you see downstairs, they have their video board that has the daily schedule on it. And at the bottom, in kind of highlighting, it says Division Week.
Right.
And so not only is this a formidable opponent, but it's a game in your division that the Cowboys somewhat dominated last year. And one of the reasons the Giants think that they got to get better, they finished 1-4-1 in the division last year. So against the Cowboys and the Giants, Washington and the Eagles, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this you got to go, and it's an important first game. Now, say you lose, okay, the season isn't over. It doesn't describe what's going to happen the rest of the way, but you'd sure like to get off to a good start in the division.
Mm-hmm. The Cowboys and Giants have opened the season against each other 11 times, with Dallas holding a 10-1 record. They have opened the season on Sunday Night Football 4 times since 2007, with the Cowboys recording 3 wins. Joe, talk to me about getting off to a good start and what that means for a team in terms of setting the tone from a confidence standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, confidence is everything when you're moving forward. And to be able to go out there and know, like, hey, look, we because everything's not going to go right in the first game. You know, first games are, you really are. You're knocking all that rust off. You're figuring out who you are. But I think there's a certain way that you want to play as a team. And if you can go out there, play the way you want to play, get the win, then that vision of, looking towards the playoffs, it's like, okay, it gets a little easier. That climbing the mountain is like, okay,
yes.
it looks a little easier at that point.
Got about 3 minutes before we take our first break. Nate, tell me what the identity of this football team is, how you have observed them throughout the offseason and training camp and preseason. What's the identity of the 2023 Dallas Cowboys?
I think they want to be physical first and fast second. And the way you be physical is to know what to do, and the way to be fast is knowing what to do.
Exactly.
So they want to be physical. I saw how Parsons led the defense, and he wasn't giving
Wrecking
no
practice
quarter.
all offseason long.
But what it did remind me of our days when I played. We had a better defense, I thought, than our offense, especially in practice. Charles Haley, Leon Lett, Russell Maryland, Tony Casillas, the list goes on and on, Tony Tolbert. These guys brought it to us, man. And so, and Charles would be leading them even when he decided to miss practice. He'd be over there forcing them to give us a good look, So competition. We have not seen how good our offensive line is because of what transpired during training camp, because those guys were so good and so hyped up.
Right.
But you'll see how good they are when they maintain this thing against the Giants.
Interesting thing, Kevin, part of Mike McCarthy's orientation today to the team when he told them what the theme was going to be this year, he had a framed, like a picture frame, but there was nothing in it. And he told them, now it's your turn to paint the picture inside the frame. So when you asked about an identity, it's up to them to establish what they are. And I thought that was a good way to look at things because, okay, here's the frame. We hadn't done anything yet. Now paint me a picture to what it's going to be. Fill in the blank. And I thought that was a pretty good move on his point to get their attention, because a lot of times you guys tell me, coach gets up there and talks and goes in one ear, out the other, and 5 minutes later you don't remember what he said. Right? Yeah.
But it's just like, sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but it's just just like Nate said, you see these guys getting these big contracts, still showing up, coming out to practice. It gives you that idea of what kind of guys you got. And, I mean, I think guys, as you do get that experience into the NFL, they see like, oh, time's getting shorter. You know, the Super Bowl ain't waiting on me. We got to go out there and get it, or the opportunities each year is getting less and less because, hey,
so by the way, when we address Joe, do we have to call him Mr. Looney? Because I'm sure he's used to being
later on.
Mr. Looney.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later on. Let's take our first break, though, here on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC. SWBC customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Kevin Gray, Nate Newton, Mickey Spagnola, Joe Looney here. It is the inaugural edition of the 2023 Cowboys Crosstalk. Coming up next, we get more into our game preview, some X factors going into Cowboys Giants, and how the Cowboys need to walk out of MetLife with a win. We do that next on Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
to Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Back here on Cowboys Crosstalk, week number 1, live on 1080 KRLD and across all the Dallas Cowboys radio network. Kevin Gray at 105 through the fan, joined as always by my main man, Nate Newton, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, and our Cowboys legend this week, Joe Looney, joining us live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. So we get you ready for week 1 of the 2023 NFL season. Of course, Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Check out SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit SWBCmortgage.com to find a pro today. Cowboys, Giants, Sunday Night Football, 7:20 p.m., MetLife Stadium. Yet another season opener for this Cowboys team against a divisional opponent. Mickey, I want to start with you. Let's talk about some X factors going into this game. Daniel Jones, a newly minted $40 million man. Saquon Barkley gets himself a one-year deal to come back as running back for this football team. Good defense for Wink Martindale and what he's got going on there. Let's start on the offensive side for the Cowboys. What's an X factor for you that this Cowboys offense, with Mike McCarthy now calling plays, along with his boy Brian Schottenheimer, and what they've got to do to help take out Wink Martindale?
First and foremost, the performance of the offensive line. And I'm not saying that just because these guys are here, but obviously Tyler Smith, tight hamstring, is he going to be ready to go?
Sure.
And I think one of the questions, everybody asks, well, where's the Cowboys' weak point? Well, if you look at the entire roster from a starting position, I don't think they have a weakness. But if there is a weakness, it's the depth on the offensive line. And what you would hate to have to do is dip into it in the very first game if you got to replace your starting left guard. So I'll be very interested to see how they prepare just in case, and then how that offensive line performs in the opening game. Because we can talk about calling the plays faster. We can talk about this coast offense, that coast offense, that they added Brandon Cooks. They got all this speed. But if those 5 guys up front don't perform well, then it negates everything we've talked about, the skill guys on this team. So first and foremost, can they handle that Giants defensive front that they're pretty proud of right now, and that they've sort of upgraded with some of the players they've acquired?
And one of those guys, the main man in the middle for them, Nate, is Dexter Lawrence, who's one of the best in all of the NFL in terms of being in the interior. How does this offensive line, even with some of the injuries that they're dealing with Tyler Smith, how do they go about attacking what is a terrific front four for the New York Football Giants?
It couldn't have came at a better time, Coach taking over the play calling. He has a purpose. He has a plan. He knows where he's going with it. Nothing against the guy that just left. Best of luck to him. But he has a purpose. He knows how to spread the ball around. More importantly, he's told his receivers over and over, Looney, be in the right place. Dak has to let the ball go. If we can get 4 or 5 quick shots real quick to loosen up everything. One thing about rushing a passer as a defensive lineman, you want to get there early. If I can get me a sack early, it gives me all the energy I need. But if you can't get there and you get late into the game, you can't get there, it gives me as an offensive lineman all the momentum. But we have to be precise as a quarterback. We have to be even more precise as a wide receiver. So we got to get in the right place, make the thing happen. Coach McCarthy going to run the ball just enough to keep him honest, and he's going to run it at the right time depending on what our defense is doing, and that's what it's going to take.
Talk to me about the X factor for the offense for this weekend.
Yeah, so I think the X factor is Dak Prescott.
Yes.
I think you got a guy, man. I mean, you look at all the experience he has playing football.
Yeah.
I mean,
year number 8 now for him.
I mean, year number 8, the only thing you can ask playing in the NFL is, hey, having more opportunities and having more reps. And one thing you want to do in any aspect of your life is be put in that situation many times. And Dak Prescott, my man, has been put in many situations many a times. He knows how to control the game, never gets too high, never gets too low, always flirts in that, area of, hey, got that silent confidence going about him. And I think when you see a guy like that, especially as an offensive lineman guy or a wide receiver, it's like, hey, let me get my stuff together. You know, I got to play my butt off for this dude because, hey, he's trying to raise a trophy for us.
Yeah. Dak Prescott, Mickey, 27-7 in the division since coming in 2016. Knows a little something about being in the Giants, having not lost to them since 2016. What does this quarterback have to do with this offense now, with Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer working in tandem to help elevate this offense and take it to the next level to where they can be considered one of the best in the National Football League?
Well, if you think about it, towards the end of the season last year, after he got back from his injuries, they were one of the best offenses in the National Football League, right? Just didn't work out in the second playoff game. But they were averaging 35 points a game in those next 10 games after he got back. 35.
Yeah, wow.
So we're talking about elevating an offense. So now they got to score 40? Well, I don't know. But I think the efficiency probably has to increase. They've got to cut down on the turnovers. And it's not all on him. Joe was saying it. Nate was saying it. Receivers need to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there, and they can't have drop passes into interceptions the way they did last year. Then your quarterback, you'll sit there and go, oh, he's pretty good. Well, he's been pretty good. Unfortunately, last year a lot of things came into play that cut down. But despite 15 interceptions, at one point they're averaging 35 points a game. Think about that. So to me, hey, let's keep that rolling. And I don't care how you do it. You know, they talked about, oh, you got to run the ball. They ran the ball last year. Now you got to run it more efficiently.
The thing about it is the great Mr. Jones has passed by, and I got to wave at my
There
boss.
is the owner, president, general manager,
Yes,
Jerry
sir.
Jones.
Wait a minute.
By.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We
Good
might
to
ask
see
you to put on a headset if you want to, but we know you can.
I will say this. You're four of my very favorite people.
Oh, yeah.
And I know in the NFL, boy, that we have a great background together and so many great memories.
Yes, sir, we
Y'all
do.
having a good time. I'm listening to you over here. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, Jerry, we know you're going to bring the energy.
Not being good.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Stay golden, pony boy.
Yeah.
That is the owner, president, general manager stopping by here on Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I was talking about Dak.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
like-
right.
Don't
The
get,
guy-
don't
the guy
get
that's-
flustered.
Yeah, the guy that's going to pay this guy a whole lot of money. Yeah.
We need a stick mic handy
Yeah,
right
I was
away.
trying to get it to him.
Yeah.
Man. What was the question with the X factor?
Yes.
And playing off of what Mickey, I talked to Dak. I've never talked to Dak. I've always spoken and say, hey, man, continue to do your job, be who you can be. And I stopped that because I was critical on him last year. And I'm not one of those guys. I've learned from Mick, Galloway, all these great guys. Hey, if you can criticize, go face this guy. And I say, Dak, you took a lot of heat. A lot of it was yours, but a whole lot of it wasn't yours. And he stopped me. He said, Nate, I depend on guys like you who know the game. That, to be critical when you have to, but the majority of the time it ain't always my issue. He said, but I would not turn on my receivers. I would not. I hear you say, hey, get in their face. He said, I'm not going to do that. He said, I got to keep my guys at all costs. And now he said, I will continue to do that. And I just hope that you guys continue to do your job. And when you know it ain't me, you ain't got to blast my guys. But
Sure.
hey, you ain't got to be as critical on me. And hey, I looked at him and shook his hand and said, thank you, and walked on off.
You know,
Yeah.
Kevin, when Joe was still playing and Dak was maybe his second year, no more than his third,
Right.
they had some things go wrong with the offense, and he was like, well, yeah, I got to do this, I got to do that, and I'm sitting there going, what's he
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
I know what's been going on, right?
Sure.
And so he got done with his little interview deal, and he was walking off, and I walked off with him, and I was kind of looking at him like this, right? He goes, what are you looking at? He goes, I'm looking for the stab wounds because you're just falling on your sword. I know what you're doing.
Sure.
And he goes, part of the job being the quarterback.
Right.
Not
I
going to
mean-
blame anybody. I ain't blaming Joe Looney.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dak. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But that's part of being a leader, and you can tell, man. I mean, when he did his, press conference in training camp,
Yeah.
he pointed at himself, like, "Hey, man,
Right.
I'm going to be the one that's going to be better."
But
And
this offense will help.
oh yeah.
Yes, this offense will
I think the
help him
offense is going to help him out.
Yeah.
With all of his experience, I think Dak's going to go out there, handle the situation well, and make every Cowboy fan happy.
Yeah, he's got an all-pro now in CeeDee Lamb, who had a terrific year last year, bringing in a guy in Brandon Cooks, 6 1,000-yard receiving seasons, highly productive throughout the course of his career. Tony Pollard coming back off of the leg injury from the playoff game. This offense has enough to be able to be considered one of the best in the NFL. And, Mickey, you talked about it, cutting down on the turnovers and making those decisions quickly, being decisive with the football. I think Brian Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy will be able to help instill that confidence. And for Dak, he has a chance not only to build off of what he did in the playoff game last year against Tampa Bay, but also right or wrong over the last couple of years in terms of subpar performances against the San Francisco 49ers. But more importantly, how does this team get off to the kind of start that gives them confidence going into the rest of the year that they are a team that can be considered with the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles within their own division that can be considered one of those top teams in the National Football League. That's a real Super Bowl contender. We are all going to find that out starting on Sunday night here when they take on the New York Football Giants. It is Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Kevin Gray of 105 through the fan, my main man Nate Newton, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, and our Cowboys legend Joe Looney joining us here live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco, where we even had a surprise guest appearance from the owner, president, and general manager himself, Jerry Jones. So we appreciate him stopping by quick here on Cowboys Crosstalk. Coming up next, though, here on Cowboys Crosstalk, we got to get into how this Cowboys team wins this game, maybe some predictions, but also trying to figure out what this defense has to do against Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. We do that all next on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC, live on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Yes.
To Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Back here on Cowboys Crosstalk, week number 1, Cowboys-Giants Sunday Night Football. We are live on 1080 KRLD across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, presented by SWBC, SWBC PEO, helping to alleviate the HR administrative burden that comes with running a business. Leave the worrying to us. Visit SWBCPEO.com to find out more. Kevin Gray of 105 through the Fan, joined by 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton. Of course, DallasCowboys.com's Mickey Spagnola and our Cowboys legend.
Yes.
Joe Looney joining us here live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. A star-studded edition as we had a special guest appearance by the owner, president, and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones himself, ahead of what is a very, very fun football game. We have a chance to play under the bright lights on Sunday Night Football. And, Joe, I'm going to start with you because we talked about Micah Parsons a little bit earlier, how much he was wrecking training camp throughout the course of this offseason. And now having an opportunity on this stage with this defense, what do you see from Dan Quinn's defense that will give Daniel Jones and this offense for Brian Dable problems on Sunday Night Football that will allow them to establish that defensive identity that we've seen throughout the course of this offseason?
Well, I mean, anytime you're talking about establishing an identity, you got to talk about the defensive line. I mean, these guys up front are going to set the tone. A quick way to, get a team rattled, sack their quarterback. Hit him. Put them on the ground. Let them know, hey, we're going to be here all night, especially on a road game. You got a road game, you trying to quiet down that crowd. Defense, go out there, hit that quarterback a couple of times. Let them know, hey, you're getting hit tonight.
Yeah.
We're playing a football game tonight. We're coming after you. And, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in our mind that, he's going to get hit a couple of times.
Oh, definitely, man.
But when you got that as a defensive coordinator, when you're Dan Quinn and you got that and you know it, hey, take the leashes off, let them boys go eat.
Go get after Daniel Jones. Let them go. Of course, Nate Daniels is a very athletic quarterback. He's got a new tight end and Darren Waller coming over from the Las Vegas Raiders that adds a lot of athleticism to the tight end position. How does Dan Quinn's defense go about attacking Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller, and this Giants offense Sunday night?
I just think as big a game as it's going to be, we're going to be the star attraction that night, Sunday night. If you stop Barkley, game over. Daniel Jones has had no success against our defense. You keep him up under 62%. And I got this from Patrick Walker. In the last 2 games, he threw 54% and 60%. You keep him under 62%, and he's failed. Mm-hmm. And so now that's telling me we have to keep Waller, who's tight ends, has given us fits over the years, and we keep Barkley out of the game or minimize them because you can't stop great players. You get on this. If we slow them down and say Daniel Jones beat us, I don't think he can.
Make him one-dimensional.
Make him one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. Well, last year they sacked him 8 times in 2 games.
Yes.
DeMarcus Lawrence had 3 sacks in that Monday night game in MetLife Stadium.
And 3 of those sacks were Micah Parsons, by the way, in the 2 games. So they held him to no more than, I think it was 20 points, I think.
Yes.
And they didn't get to 20 in the one game until a late touchdown when the Cowboys were up 20-13.
Right.
So they did a number on them last year. Now, is their offensive line better? Because that was their problem last year. They finished with they're allowing the 6th most sacks in the league last year, 49.
New center.
So people, new center, but he's a rookie.
He's a rookie,
right? So we'll see how that works out for him. But they've got to protect him. But to me, we talked about this defense, the corners, but can they stop the run successfully over 17 weeks? Last year, 11 of the 17 opponents rushed for 100 yards against the Cowboys. If you don't stop the run, you don't earn the right to rush the quarterback. So, again, I'm going to be very interested to see if they can hold Barkley in check. You don't have to shut him down.
Sure.
He's pretty good, right?
Right.
But just keep him in check. Don't let him ruin the game. And to me, the key thing for this team this year is this defense has to become elite. Because if you think about some of the games they lost last year, the offense scored 34 points at Jacksonville against a playoff team and got beat in overtime. They scored 28 against the Packers, got beat in overtime.
Right.
So, again, at some point, this defense has to step up consistently to put this team as a whole.
And that's where I think the play calling will be tremendous, because a lot of times what Mick is saying is so true, but it's when you run the ball, when you choose to help this defense, because I think a lot of times, even though we scored a lot of points, a lot of times we scored them quick, and that put our defense in a tight bind. I think Coach McCarthy is smart enough to say, okay, right here, hey, you know what? Let's throw a safer pass. Let's throw a more high percentage pass.
Better
let's
situational
run
football.
the ball, yes. And I think it'll play hand in hand, because in today's NFL, we say that the Giants don't have this great of offense, or Detroit don't have this great of offense, but everybody's scoring 24 points. That used to be the key mark. Keep a guy at 24 points, you win the game. That ain't the key mark. The key mark is you get threes, we get 6.
Yeah.
You know, that's the key. That's the key to these games, because you can lose a game 28, but with the opponent scoring 28 or more points, you can lose a game. So it's great situational football, I think.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback off of y'all, because, everything you guys are saying, it's completely true. And one of the things I think that I just, was thinking about, if you're, Mike McCarthy, what you want to come out and tell your team is, hey, you got to weather the storm, because we all know, just like you said, hey, they got guys, and they're hungry. They know they kind of been that whipping post,
Sure.
For the Cowboys over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, hey, they're going to come out and try to give us our best shot, weather the storm, all right, let them know why we're better than them.
And, Mickey, you started to touch on when it comes to stopping the run. 2 guys are going to be a focus in the middle for this team. Mozzie Smith, the rookie out of Michigan, Jonathan Hankins in the middle as well. What are you looking for from the interior? We know about the pass rush on the outside with Jamarcus Lawrence, his ability to stop guys in terms of rushing or running the football on the edge as well. Micah Parsons is going to be looking to do the same and get after the quarterback. What about this interior, though, with Mozzie Smith, Jonathan Hankins, and others, and how they've got to be better for this defense this year?
Well, I'll tell you one guy you can add to that. Osa Odigizua.
Yeah, big Osa in the middle as well,
had a very good training camp, and they had trouble, the offensive line, dealing with him. Jonathan Hankins, if you remember last year, they got him late. Then he got hurt. When he was in there, they did a pretty good job in the middle. So you got a big old body in there to take up some space at the nose tackle, Osa at the 3 technique, and then they're going to move Mozzie in and give him some reps, but not, I don't think, full time. He's still got to develop. He's got to earn his reps in there. But, boy, I'll tell you what, in training camp, you guys, and I'm sure you at some point in your careers you had to face that. You got these 2 big 330-pounders sitting in the middle of the line. They don't move very far.
They
right?
don't.
And so that'll be interesting to see if they pair those guys together at some point in the game, because the one thing Mozzie can do is if he can stay square to the line of scrimmage, and as strong as he is, boy, he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah,
now, his problem is he gets turned sometimes and they gash a gap. So, but he's got to come along. Hey, 27th pick in the draft doesn't mean you're an automatic starter. You got to earn your way.
We've been spoiled, too.
The thing that's got to happen is Gallimore. Osa had one of the greatest camps in his short career.
Sure.
He showed out. But I need for Gallimore to pick it up, because the more guys that are positive and doing veteran guys that are playing right, then 58, Mozzie has no choice but for the light to come on. When you see guys doing it right, filling their gaps, being in the right place, and I think I would start out, I would just put him on the nose. I would put him right on the center. I would put Mozzie on the center. Mozzie, look here, man. We need for you to stay square, but guess what? I'm going to give you one job. Destroy the center.
Yeah.
Destroy the center. And so if he can do that, then we'll graduate him.
And, I mean, that's wonderful, too, as a rookie, because, I mean, just like I said, we've been spoiled. You don't see guys like Micah Parsons coming in, having the kind of impact he does. And as a rookie, the game is moving so fast. So if you can tighten it down for him a bunch, hey, this is your one job. Go out there, dominate this guy. Should be good for him.
Yeah. Couple minutes before we take our next break, the only thing that I get concerned about when it comes to this defense, and Mickey and Nate, you can speak to this, obviously, watching this team and being there all offseason. The linebacking core, obviously, Leighton Vander Esch last year had a resurgent year for this team, but at the same time, there could be some questions in terms of depth when you look at this linebacking core on the second level.
Wait till you see Damone Clark.
Well, tell me about it. How are you feeling about Damone Clark?
Wait till you see Damone Clark.
Wait till you see Marquise Bell. in the nickel situation, Dime and Mike Backer.
And Wanye Thomas.
I'm going to tell y'all something. I am not one of those guys that say what if and this could have been and this, that, and other. But Mickey and everybody tried to tell me about this Overshown kid. I did not look at him the first week.
Sure.
But then when the preseason started, this dude is different.
Yeah.
And that's the last I'm going to say to that. We would not be having this discussion if this kid wouldn't have got hurt because he was going to be your nickel and dime Mike Backer. He was going to be playing 60% of the game. But now he's not here, so I had to get that off my chest. So now we're looking at other guys.
That one hurt.
Yeah,
As a
that
matter
one
of fact,
hurt.
It not only hurt on their change-up defense, but hurt on their special teams.
Yes.
Because he was going to be all
bringing it,
4
Lou.
units.
He was bringing it.
And I'll tell you what, when I was talking to Fossil the other day, and it was shortly after Overshown got hurt, and I said to something, I said, boy, that one hurts. He goes, I'm still sick to my stomach.
Bruh.
Oh,
right?
boy,
Because
wow.
he was going to be a special teams core guy. But now, remember this about the depth on the at linebacker, because I'm a big believer in Damone Clark. I've seen him sideline to sideline, and if you see how big he is, that is you a NFL linebacker.
You got
Sure.
cursed.
But I put the question to Dan Quinn, and I said, so kind of depth, because you got your 2 guys, Van Der Esch and Damone Clark. What happens if one gets hurt? It was a very simple answer. Micah Parsons plays more linebacker.
Well, there you go.
And so that,
not a bad backup
that
plan.
might make you feel a little bit better
Yeah.
about the depth at that linebacker position.
Let's take our final break here on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC, right here at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Kevin Gray of 105 through the Fan, Nate Newton of DallasCowboys.com, Mickey Spagnola as well, and our Cowboys legend Joe Looney joining us here live at the Cowboys Club. Coming up next, we catch up with our resident teacher Joe Looney. Let's see what he's got going on these days.
Mr. Looney.
That's
Mr.
right, and
Looney.
get some predictions going into
Teacher
Sunday night. We do that next on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Teacher Looney.
Go Cowboys!
Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
One final time here on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC. Live on 1080 KRLD, of course, across the Dallas Cowboys radio network. Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, and our Cowboys legend, Joe Looney, joining us here ahead of Week 1 when the Cowboys take on the Giants on Sunday Night Football. I want to thank our proud partner, Liberty Tax. Liberty Tax, a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today at libertytax.com/Cowboys. Before we get to predictions for Week 1, got to catch up with our resident teacher,
yes, sir.
Joe Looney, or as Mickey's called him, Mr. Looney.
Mr. Looney.
A couple weeks now into the school year. How has the school year gone so far for you and what you're doing these days?
Oh, man, it's been absolutely wonderful. I got to give a shout-out to my wife, Kendra. She's the one who's pushing me to, really challenge myself mentally with my teaching skills, and it's been amazing. Me and Nate was just talking. We're talking about, hey, the first 4 games of the NFL season, you get to know your players. That's kind of like how it is in school. You're getting to know your students, building those relationships with them. But couldn't ask for a better group, lively group of kids. My 9th graders, my 10th graders.
Yeah.
World geography, world history, and I tell you what, it's just it's absolutely wonderful being able to be a head coach in the classroom. Leading these group of young men and young women to where they want to be in life. So it's definitely a blessing for me.
What's one lesson for football that you've taken with you now as a teacher these days?
Man, one of them that I preach constantly is effort. Effort is something that you have to give. Look, you might not be understanding the playbook. You might not understand this material, but you can, commit to your effort, be in the class on time, asking questions, making sure you're sitting down talking to your coaches, and that's the mindset I kind of give back to my students, man. Whatever you do, attack it with effort, and you'll be okay in life.
Well, the Cowboys are looking to use that effort on Sunday night when they take on the New York Football Giants. Nate, I'm going to start with you. For this team, with all these expectations coming into this year, what's the 1 or 2 things that you're going to be looking for to indicate to you that this team has got a mindset that's ready to play under the bright lights of Sunday Night Football in a division game to start off the season?
What I'll be looking at is Coach McCarthy and how quick he can get Dak into a rhythm. And I love that he let Dak call plays. So he can see how Dak would do things, and maybe they can connect in that way. And I watched him doing training camp. I want to see how Coach McCarthy play great situational football. If he plays great situational football, that means my wide receivers are going to be efficient. And that's going to help our offensive line by being efficient, getting that ball out quickly. I just want to see what Coach McCarthy going to do.
Did you notice how fast the plays were coming in?
Yes.
Like he's calling play, and it wasn't like a hurry-up offense.
Sure.
They're in the huddle, and if you look down to write something down, you look up, they're at the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
So the plays are coming in quick, and maybe that'll establish a rhythm, right?
Yes.
Keep the defense from having an opportunity to sit there and, well, what are they doing? Let me see if – no, you ain't got time to think about it because they're coming at you.
Right.
And then I think the other thing, Kevin, when the plays come in that quick, he's in their headset longer, right? Because it goes off with 15 seconds to go on the clock. So you can get to the line of scrimmage, and the head coach can, well, you know what? Look what they're doing.
Think about that. You see that safety
dialing
over
it
there?
up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Look at that 3 technique. You may, hey.
Yeah.
And that gives us a chance to adjust as offensive linemen.
Reset
Boy, ain't
protection,
nothing
those
like
kinds of
getting
things,
caught not knowing where that Mike back at. That Mike back has set the thing for everybody.
Yeah. And we know Dak is one of the best in the NFL when it comes to diagnosing pre-snap and being able to make those adjustments at the line of scrimmage. Joe, when you look at this team, Dallas has won 11 of the last 12 games against the Giants, including 4 straight against this divisional opponent. What's the key to victory for Dallas on Sunday night to open up the season with a victory?
So I think there's a couple. One that I've always, hung my hat on is no turnovers. No turnovers. Give yourself an opportunity.
I like what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Especially on the road,
And
right?
Yes.
I know a lot of people, man, call me old school, but you got to be more physical than the other team.
Yeah.
It's just something about when you out-hit somebody, play in, play out, out-hit them. Man, it just wears them down, and it takes away their will, So No turnovers, physicality, physical. Hit them.
It sounds like something Jimmy Johnson would say to you boys back in the day.
I'm going to tell you something. You know you hurting a cat. And I hate to say this because we're in an eatery. We're in a very fine establishment. But when you see snot running out of their nose.
Yeah, light them up, dog.
You know you're
Light them up.
Dude wiping his nose. It's 100 degrees, man. Why you wiping your nose?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. and there's a reason why they were practicing outdoors
Sure.
today and tomorrow morning again in the morning to get used to this heat, because if any of you have been watching the U.S. Open tennis tournament,
Yes.
these guys are suffering up there in that heat and the humidity, and so they're trying to acclimate as best they can to the weather that they're going to face on Sunday in East Rutherford, because it's going to be absolutely miserable. So you be ready to go to do what they just said they're going to do, because these tennis players, they're changing their shoes because they're sweating so much.
Yeah.
Got about 3 minutes before we end our show. It is prediction time here on Cowboys Crosstalk. Now, just like a tradition unlike any other, I'm not going to ask Nate because I know exactly what he's going to say. He's going to say the Cowboys win by either 1 or 100. Cowboys are going to win the game.
Right. That's
so I already
right.
know what Nate's going to say, so I'm going to throw it to Joe.
Ooh, let's go.
Give me a prediction on how the Cowboys get this done against the Giants on Sunday Night Football.
All right, with every good relationship, there's always going to be some growing pains.
Oh, well, preach to us, Joe. Talk to us then, man. Talk to us.
I think there's going to be some growing pains, but I do think the Cowboys get it done. I do think they physically overwhelm the Giants. I'm going to go with 27-13 Giants. There's going to be some field goals in there, though. There's going to be some field goals.
Shout out to Brandon Aubrey.
Hey, come on now.
Because we're going to see what he can do under the bright
Go
lights
get your bag,
of
guy.
Sunday Night Football. 27-13, Joe's got the Cowboys winning on Sunday Night Football. Mickey, tell me how the Cowboys get this win and how they do it.
They win it by, number one, the defense playing the way we've been talking about, right? That you're stepping up. And give the offense a little bit of time to kind of move into things, right? They hadn't played any snaps in a preseason game, right? So it might take a series or two. But if the defense does their job, make life tough on Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, get after him, and kind of control the game, then this offense is going to take off. This should be an elite offense. I think the addition of Brandon Cooks, and you guys are all going to be surprised about this tight end group. Everybody's worried, what are they going to do?
Shout out to Jake Ferguson,
They lost their tight end, and Dalton Schultz, and it's like they didn't lose him. Dalton Schultz wanted to leave. So this three-headed monster at tight end, keep an eye on those guys. So, again, offensive line does their job. They've got so much offensive talent. I just can't wait to see it. And one of the people we talked about, Tony Pollard, the wide receivers, tight end, keep an eye on Deuce. All right? There's going to be a package for the little guy, and I'm going to stand up for the little guys.
It's going to be fun to watch this offense, this defense. I'm going to go with the Cowboys 28-20 on the road. Yeah, 28-20 on the road. I think this defense is going to set the tone from the outset. I have not been more excited to watch a defense get after opponents week in and week out than I am watching Micah Parsons, Dan Quinn, who chose the Cowboys once again to come back for year 3, and I think he's building something special with the continuity that this defense has. I think they are going to be the ones that lead this team throughout the course of the year. The offense has got to be able to come along and participate, but this defense, to me, is going to set the tone. I think they do it in week number 1 against the Giants. We saw last year on Monday Night Football, DeMarcus Lawrence had his best game of the year, had 3 sacks in that game against Daniel Jones and that Giants team. I think the Cowboys do something similar when they take on the Giants on Sunday. Appreciate
Look at me.
Joe Looney, our Cowboys legend, Nate Newton, and, of course, Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Kevin Grant, 105 through the fan. Cowboys, Giants, week number 1 on Sunday Night Football on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, 105 through the fan. We'll talk to you next week here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Crosstalk presented by SWBC. We'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be good.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!